Hello and good evening. Australians are awaiting the outcome of their most closely fought election in decades, with results so far pointing to a hung parliament. With nearly 3/4 of the votes counted, the governing Labour Party and the opposition Liberal National Coalition are running neck and neck. From Sydney, our correspondent Nick Bryant reports.
It's been a national soap opera where the voters thought they'd get to write the final instalment. But as each vote was counted, it seemed there were arguments over the plot. The Labour government started the evening by edging ahead. Then the opposition hit back by winning target seat after target seat. Then the central character in this whole drama, the Prime Minister Julia Gillard, stepped before her supporters, having fallen short of an outright victory.
Bill Clinton once famously said in a previous election in America, "The people have spoken, but it's going to take a little while to determine exactly what they've said." And that is where we find ourselves tonight.
Having ruthlessly ousted her predecessor, Kevin Rudd, on the eve of this election, she's been punished by the electorate. But the backlash wasn't vicious enough to hand her Conservative opponent a clear-cut victory.
Just 6 months ago, Tony Abbott was seen as something of a joke figure in Australian politics. Nobody gave him a chance in this election, but he's done well enough to produce the first hung parliament, it seems, since the Second World War.
What is clear from tonight is that the Labor Party has definitely lost its majority. And what that means is that the government has lost its legitimacy.
This has been a scrappy campaign at the end of a brutal phase in Australian politics. Perhaps the voters ultimately decided that nobody truly deserved to win. Nick Bryant, BBC News, Sydney.
Engineers have started loading fuel into Iran's first nuclear power plant. Tehran says it's a milestone in its drive to produce its own nuclear energy, and it comes as part of an international agreement to help Iran with its civil nuclear programme. Our diplomatic correspondent James Robbins reports.
A big moment for Iran. At the country's nuclear power station Bushehr, Russian and Iranian engineers finally start to load the first nuclear fuel supplied by Russia. It's a joint venture by the two countries to show that Iran can have nuclear power while still under the pressure of sanctions to stop enriching uranium itself. The United States is calm about all this. Washington says it sees no risk of the Russian uranium being diverted to a weapons program, something Iran always denies pursuing.
We are intending only to show to the international community that we have the capability and the capacity to supply our own fuel in case anything comes up that is unexpected.
What reassures the outside world about Bushehr is its need for low-enriched uranium, no use in a weapon, that the uranium fuel rods come from Russia, that all the spent rods and waste go back there, and that Bushehr will be watched closely by the UN's Atomic Energy Agency.
Yes, the world should focus on Iran's production of nuclear power, applaud it maybe, and then encourage Iran to stop producing the sensitive technologies that can lead to weapons.
And the government view of all this? Well, that what's happening at Bushehr shows Iran can have the benefits of nuclear power. But by contrast, it must not enrich uranium anywhere in the country, raising suspicions about its wider nuclear program. So Iran will still be watched very closely indeed. President Ahmadinejad regards Bushehr as a triumph, but he remains under global pressure to abandon any work which could produce nuclear warheads. James Robbins, BBC News.
Another British serviceman has been killed in Afghanistan. He was from 1st Battalion, the Duke of Lancaster's regiment, and died in a gunfight with insurgents in the Nadi Ali district of Helmand province. His family have been informed. The NHS in England spent more than £300 million on external advice in the last financial year. The Health Secretary, Andrew Lansley, has described it as staggering. But both Labour and NHS managers say the spending was justified. This report from Ben Geoghegan.
Running an organisation as big as the NHS is a huge task, so outside experts are often brought in to give advice. In the last financial year, health managers in England spent over £300 million on external advisors. It's the first time the figure has been published, and it's shocked some in the health profession.
We believe this is outrageous because we believe there is the talent and the expertise within the NHS, within both managers and within clinicians, in order to manage the NHS in the way that we would all wish.
Last year, outside consultants gave advice on corporate strategy and helped with IT and computer